Join the Coven. Before we get into the video, I just wanted to give a huge thank you and shout out to a talented narrator and awesome friend, Evil Outcast, who kindly helped me out with this video. So make sure you check out his channel and subscribe today. Link in the description. It's been 2 weeks since my reflection turned its back on me. A story written by DrKoz. Yesterday, the Pope ended himself by jumping off his balcony in the Vatican after addressing the millions gathered outside there for a week. He said God had abandoned us all, and there was no hope of redemption. It's being predicted that millions worldwide will follow his example. Various other religious leaders had already done that, and their followers, well, followed. Only 3 days ago, a panel of top scientists of the world made a statement with a lot of technical jargon, which boiled down to, we are completely clueless. To think that all of this started with something that literally happened overnight just 7 days ago. People woke up and saw something odd about what they saw in the mirror. They were seeing the back of their head, no matter which way they would turn, how they placed the mirror, how many mirrors they used, or which reflective surface. The reflections simply refused to face their owners. Scientists were baffled. Were the laws of physics wrong? But light was acting perfectly normal on everything else. People were hysterical. A lot of prayers, whole lot more of condemning various groups, and even more multiple reported incidences of what appeared to be human sacrifice. While a majority of people were worried about the fact that their reflections wouldn't face them, there were some who were worried about what we would see when they eventually do turn back to face us. Personally, I don't know what I'm worried about the most. The fact is, this first happened to me a week before everyone else, or the fact that my reflection has completely abandoned me now. The Sun Came Up, a story written by Baybon.
I remember when the wife would call me outside to watch the sunset with her. It wasn't much for me, but it must have meant a whole lot to her. We would sit outside, have some tea, watch the dogs run around the yard. It was alright. Lately, the sun hadn't been coming up. Some kind of problem with the orbit or Earth's axis. I don't know. An extinction-level cosmic phenomenon, they call it. The way I figure it, I ain't got too much to worry about. That NASA guy on the TV said that what's happening is impossible. So there's got to be some kind of outside intervention. Far be it from me to understand a lick of this college boy's gibberish. I've lived my life, come what may. My wife and I decided to sit out on the porch. There ain't no sun, but we can always just enjoy the outdoors, right? I sat next to her on the bench, and I covered us up with a nice homemade quilt. Weren't long before she was out like a light. Figured I'd rest my eyes a bit too, seeing as how I am already here. It got cold real quick. I woke up shivering. Couldn't barely move my fingers. I looked over at the missus. She weren't moving. When I looked off into the sky, I could see it. The sun looked a heck of a lot smaller than it used to be. and it weren't too bright neither. I could hear some chatter from the TV in the other room. The Earth has fallen out of orbit with the sun. Temperatures are dropping all over the Earth. Casualties are thought... I turned off the racket. I wiped the frost from my beard. I rested my head on the missus one last time. The sun came up, Edith, I whispered. Guess we missed it.
You have under 7 minutes left. A story written by Not Necessarily. Have you ever felt like you weren't in control of your actions? Have you ever felt like your life was a film and you were just watching? It really is like that. Medical death is described as when the heart stops functioning and sending oxygen to the body. Most of our cells die during this period due to the lack of oxygen. However, an amazing and vital organ can keep on working for some period of time after death. That incredible organ is the brain. The brain is what controls the body, what defines our personality, what causes our consciousness. The brain is also the organ that is last to die. When you die, the brain knows you are in death. The starved-out neurons release many different chemicals. The memory center of the brain goes on overdrive. The brain is as active as it is during the REM sleep period. Dreams are seen in this period. Consciousness still exists after medical death, as long as the brain is still working. However, the brain on average is only active for 7 minutes after death. In those 7 minutes, the brain is highly active. The brain processes everything and desperately tries to stay alive. After blood flow stops to the brain, it kind of scans itself, reviews everything it has done and experienced. It is able to create vivid imagery in that hyperactive state. Now think about it. Why do you feel like you have no control over your decisions? Why does it feel like life is a movie? It's because you are in those 7 minutes. Your brain is reviewing its memories and reproducing them. You are seeing your life again. You have already lived. You can probably still change stuff if you try, but you have already lived your life. This may sound crazy to you, but you will realize when the 7 minutes are gone, when the last neuron finally dies, when you lose everything. You may be wondering who I am and how I know you. I am your subconscious mind. I am reminding you of your fate. More and more neurons are dying. You are already dead. The Dreadful Passing, written by Captain Inu-0109.
Silence. No wind. No voices. Not a single sound in this deserted city. Roads broken and spider-webbed with cracks. Skyscrapers, which once towered above the chaotic streets, brought to their knees by the creeping onslaught. Crumbled and rotting, with their corroded steel innards visible among the rubble. A city of aged yellow bones and cowering roaches. The same as every city, every town. Nothing of significance in the old world has been spared. Books, their words faded beyond hope of deciphering. Art, defaced and peeling. All human creation, left to fester in the elements. Once the keepers of the human legacy perished, nothing stood in the way of the decay and unfaltering ruination of the one constant in all things man-made and of nature. The perennial, dreadful press of time. The setting of the sun, the rising of the moon, cycling continuously even after the sun and moon are no more. Onward and onward, keeping its steady, unwavering pace during its eradication. All things succumbed eventually. Ideas fade into inky blackness. Languages lost, never to speak their way out of the void. Images burned to ash, left to rest in neat, dark piles until nothing is left, save for time. How horribly lonely it would feel then, after it has exhausted ideas and civilization to massacre. What a terrible tragedy that it can't turn its devastating powers onto itself.